Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Tori, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. Today we're going to be talking about important quotes that have really resonated with me and helped me throughout this season of life that I feel like you guys could really benefit from hearing as well. So I'm just going to be explaining quotes that I've found all over the internet and what they mean to me, and then you guys can hear them and take it as you will, and who knows, maybe you'll find your next affirmation. So most of these have to do with kind of just getting through life, being successful in life, and are really general, so I feel like they'll really be applicable to anything that is going on in your life. So if you are interested in getting some motivation to keep you going in this crazy world, then definitely keep on listening. Before we jump in, don't forget to follow or subscribe or whatever the term may be on whatever platform you're listening on, as well as follow me on Instagram and TikTok, which I will have linked down below. The likes and engagements and rating and reviews would also be super helpful because I want to hear from you and know what you love and don't love about the podcast. So let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm Grace Tori, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. So some of these were on my vision board for April, some of these I found after that, but let's go ahead and just dive in. So this first one says, "You're too good for someone who isn't sure about you." You may have heard this one a time or two. It's a pretty common one, but basically, I want to say, as someone who was in the dating scene for a long time and is in a committed relationship where we have talked about marriage, and I do feel like this is my person. As someone who's been in the trenches, you'll know when that person is the person for you, and they won't question it. You will never ever question, is this the person for me? Do they like me? You'll never question if they like you or not. You never will, because you'll know. There may be times when it's oh man, they're really stressed with work or whatever. There may be times where you have to work on your relationship and reprioritize your relationship because maybe it's getting a little thrown to the side with work or whatever's going on in life. But you will never have to question if they like you or not, or if they're sure about you. So life is genuinely too short and too precious to waste your time on someone who isn't sure or isn't giving you the attention, doesn't make you feel 100% validated. So definitely keep it moving, sis. Keep it moving. I promise you the right person will come along. And this applies to friendships as well. You're never going to have to second guess if your best friend is sure about you, if someone that is loyal or is a good friend is sure about you or likes you. If you are second guessing that, then they are probably not a very good friend. So like I said, life is too short. It's definitely worth having a conversation and saying, hey, I'm feeling this way. Can you talk to me about this and let me know your thoughts? So yeah, that is quote number one. Quote number two is, life is a mirror of your consistent thoughts. This one is really hard and something I've been working on, especially now that your girl is going to therapy. Y'all, that is a whole thing within itself. We're learning things. Not yet, but I feel it coming on. But life is a mirror of your consistent thoughts. What that means to me and how I perceive it is, if you are constantly thinking negative thoughts, then your life is going to feel very negative and very down and very depressing. But if you are having positive thoughts, you are excited for the future, then your life is also going to feel very exciting and positive. So think about how you are thinking. Think about what your thoughts consist of majority of the time. And this is really, really hard. I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast in a long time, but you have to reprogram your mind before you start to see those results in your life. If you want your life to be more positive, then you're gonna have to retrain your mind to look for the positive in life. That can be really difficult to do, but don't worry, you are not alone. This is something I am working on. I am very anxious-minded at this point in time. All of my thoughts revolve around oh, I'm worried about this, or is this bad thing gonna happen, and things like that. So I am personally working on rewiring my brain to be more positive, and you are not alone in that. We are in this together. But I have done some old episodes on how to do that. It was a while ago, so just scroll through my episodes if you're interested in hearing more about that. But yeah, it can be hard, but we're in this together. Just remember, life is a mirror of your consistent thoughts. So if you want it to be more positive, start with your thoughts and what you are spending most of your time thinking about. This one is kind of a law of attraction one. I have quite a few of those in there because I'm personally someone who believes in the law of attraction and the law of assumption, but it's also good to just have a good, hopeful mindset towards the future. So anyway, this one is very soon you will smile and say, this is more than what I prayed for. I think just having a mindset of being grateful for everything that you have and constantly saying to yourself, this is beyond my wildest dreams. I am so blessed for everything I have. It's just a mindset that everyone should have. There's nothing wrong with being grateful and feeling like you are blessed. So I like this quote. I think it's a good law of attraction one. It's one to just remind yourself, like, life may be hard now, but so soon I am just going to be so grateful and say that this is everything that I've prayed for. Next, I really like this one if you are going through some things that feel like petty or like you're getting hung up on the little things. This one is, a girl who is going to do big things cannot let small things get to her. So if you are out here trying to conquer world domination, you have really big goals, you have high aspirations, you need to stop getting so hung up on the little things because that is distracting you from reaching this big goal that you have. And this is something that I really needed to remind myself. I go through phases where sometimes I do get really distracted by the little things and I get caught up in the small petty things. And if I'm going to do big things and I'm going to make a big impact, then I need to stop getting so bothered by little things and keep my mind focused on the end goal, because the little things are just distractions. All they're going to do is hurt you. Stop getting distracted and stay on track. This one says, never settle for less of your standards. The right people will come. So I am a huge believer, I say this all the time, but I'm a huge believer that the 5 closest people to you are who is going to craft who you become, or they are going to be a part of you. They are going to rub off on you. So it's important to keep in mind that when you are selecting who are going to be the 5 closest people to you. And not everybody in your life needs to be like a super high achiever. Like, you shouldn't just be like, oh, I can't be friends with them because they aren't successful enough. That is not what I'm saying at all. But I think that you need to keep your standards high, and then whoever is going to come into your life is going to come into your life. Like, the right people are going to come along that have things in common with you and are on the same wavelength as you. Like, if you are a kind-hearted person and there are people in your life that are not kind-hearted, then you're not going to align in that way. And if your standards are, I only want to have people in my life that are kind, and if they are continually not kind, they're not learning from you, you're not really helping them on their journey, then they are probably gonna just go away when your standards are, hey, if you're not a kind-hearted person, I don't really want you in my life. And then you're gonna attract more kind-hearted people because that's all that your standards are allowing. Like, you accept no less than that. So I don't really know how to explain it other than that's just, like, in my opinion, how the energy of the universe works. Like attracts like. So if you keep your standards high, not only for yourself, but for those around you, it's going to attract more of those standards. In my opinion, that's what I choose to believe. And I think that's what this quote is saying. But just like any other quote I'm talking about, you can interpret this however you want, whatever resonates with you the most. These are just my personal takeaways from each quote. This next one is about being a creative. I am a creative. I'm someone who is very art-minded, and in a world that is very work-minded, very logistic, especially in the US, where it is just like work, work, work until you're burnt out and then take some medication to fix the burnout and keep going. It's very hard for someone who is creative. So this quote says, comparison kills creativity. There is room for you. Nobody can do it with your voice, with your experience, with your insight. I think for this one, I personally relate this to like the podcast. Because there are so many podcasts out there, it has become a very oversaturated area. It's easy to say, oh, well, there's another 24-year-old girl who has a podcast and is more successful than me. Why am I wasting my time, quote unquote, when, like, all in all, I don't consider this a waste of time, but I do have bad days where I'm like, they're way more successful than me. We kind of do the same thing. Like, why am I even here? And this quote really gives me hope because it's true. Like, no one has had the experience I have had. No one has the exact outlook I have. No one has the exact same sense of humor that I have. So I bring a whole new vibe to the podcast space just by being myself. And whatever you are doing, whatever your talents are, wherever your hobbies lie, you can put this into that perspective and say, okay, maybe I play soccer and like maybe there's 1,000 good soccer players out there and we're all competing for one spot, but I am unique in my own way. I bring my own talent. I do it a certain way that maybe not everybody else does, and that is what makes me different. So as long as I keep working, keep trying, and I put effort into it, my own unique talent is going to shine through. This next one is push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. This is so true. Even if you have the most supportive people in the world, sometimes you need, like, they're not going to push you as hard as you can push yourself. So, I mean, I do have supportive people in my life. Josh is one of the most supportive people in the entire world. I swear, he just keeps me going. But there is times where it's like, he's like, why don't we just lay down and watch a movie? And it's like, no, I need to work on this. I have to push myself because if I just lay down and watch this movie, this isn't going to get done. And like, or like, oh, maybe you've been working so hard, like maybe you should just skip an episode this week. No, I'm not going to do that because I need to push myself. I need to get this episode done. I may not be in the mood, I may be grumpy today, but it has to get done. And sometimes you need someone to play the bad cop, and I'm the only one who can play the bad cop. You are probably the only one who can play the bad cop in your life, like good cop, bad cop. That's the, you know, vibe I'm making. Like, if the downfall of someone loving you and being so supportive of you is that they're probably gonna not be as hard on you as you're gonna be on yourself. And there is such thing as being too hard on yourself, where you push yourself too much and you don't give yourself enough rest, which is where you need to really practice grace and understand the balance of that. But push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. Even if there are times when they push you, no one understands like you do. No one can give you the push the way you can. And at the end of the day, it's you against you. You're not comparing yourself to anybody else. It's you versus you to make an effort and make a positive change and create a life for yourself that you have always dreamed of. I love this one. It is a glowing woman can help other women glow and still be lit. So I think that this also plays on the idea that comparison is the thief of joy. Like, you can build other women up and it's not going to dim your light. It's not going to take away from your talents. It's not going to say that you are not as good as them. Like, you can help people and still glow. Maybe you are an influencer and there's someone who's asking for help on being an influencer. Don't gatekeep the tips that you have. Like, don't be the person that's like, oh, you just have to figure it out, because helping them is not going to take away from your content creation and your episodes or whatever. Like, you are only going to help them succeed, which in the end is going to help you succeed more because, one, I believe in karma. Two, networking. Like, there is so many positives to this that there are no negatives. The only negatives are the ones you have created in your own mind. Like, you are just comparing and being jealous if you are not helping another woman. Your glow does not dim because you helped another woman glow more, if that makes sense. I just love this one, and I feel like it's one that even though we all talk about a lot, we don't necessarily practice. And being a girl's girl in this way is so important. Like, there's so many women are hated by so many people. Like, we are obviously the minority. Even somewhere where there has been a lot of progress, like the United States, where we do have a lot of rights, we still are not welcome there. Like, just because we have rights doesn't mean the welcome mat is pulled out for us. So if women are attacking each other, then what's left? Like, literally, what is left? Everyone, we just need to be supportive for each other because there's enough people out there who don't want us to be in the spaces we're in or we are working to be in. I'm gonna get off my pedestal now. That is just like a rant that I have all the time because it gets on my last nerve when women just like don't support other women and we're gatekeeping and stuff. Like, your glow doesn't dim just because you help another woman shine. Moving on to our next quote. You can feel uncomfortable and still show up. This is for my girlies who don't feel ready, who feel like, oh, I just need to do a little bit more prepping before I jump into XYZ, or before I go to this club, or, oh, I'm in a bad mood. By club, I mean like hobby. I don't mean like going to the bar. Or maybe I do. If that's something you struggle with and you've really wanted to do it and all your friends go and you have social anxiety, like, girl, pop off. You're never going to be ready. In your mind, you are never going to be perfectly ready, perfectly equipped to do that thing. So you are going to feel uncomfortable the first few times, and there's going to be times where you still feel uncomfortable even when you've done it 100 times. There's times where I still get in front of the camera and I'm like, man, I feel awkward. Man, I don't feel right. Like, I'm in a weird mood. Like, I don't know if this is what the vibe today, like and then I get into a headset where I'm like, oh my gosh, everything I say, you're gonna judge me, blah, blah, blah. Like, I still feel uncomfortable sometimes, but that doesn't mean I don't show up. You just have to do it uncomfortable. There's gonna be days where you feel amazing, there's gonna be days where you feel horrible, but you just have to get it done. Fake it till you make it. This one is specifically for podcasting, but I think that it is relatable in any capacity, and that is your voice is your superpower. So your opinions, your voice, that's what makes you unique among other things. So whether you're a writer or a podcaster or you're just a content creator, you literally are just walking down the street. Your voice is your superpower, so don't forget to use it. You just have this amazing power inside of you that you are keeping from being released into the world, and you can use it for good or for evil. Obviously, I'm team good, but your voice is your superpower. This is another law of attraction one. 1 year from now, I want to be able to look back and say, damn, I really did believe in myself and it worked. This one specifically because in like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, I'll be turning 25. I want the year of being 25 to be a magical year where I really make some things happen. So this is very law of attraction, law of assumption, but think about yourself a year from now, and in the next year you can keep doing the same old thing, get nowhere, and then be upset that you didn't reach these goals within the year, or you can buckle up, get it done, and be in a completely different place in the next year. So what do you choose to do? I know where my heart lies. I know what I'm choosing to do, but it is up to you to create your own future. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm team make a change and have the most amazing year of your life. Another law of attraction one, act like the person you want to become. This is very fake it till you make it, very law of attraction, like you attract, like attracts like. So act like the person you want to become. If you want to be a full-time influencer, I'm just using this one a lot because I'm a podcaster. If you want to be a full-time influencer, make sure you're posting all of the things every day. Make sure you are the vibe of what you think you would be as an influencer. Who is that version of yourself? Show up as them. Live in the place you would live in. Transform your life to be that of someone who is a successful influencer in every way that you can. Act like the person you want to become. Another law of attraction one, we have quite a few of these. Every experience is working in my favor. This goes back to the idea of what your thoughts are most consistently is what your world is going to reflect. So if you consistently tell yourself everything is working out in my favor, I am so grateful, and just if you're positive, then it's going to reflect that in your life. Like, your brain is literally trained to show you what you believe. Show you proof of what is going on in your head. So if you are, and there is science to back this up. I did a podcast episode on it a while back. I think it was like called The Science Behind the Law of Attraction, I think, or the Law of Assumption. I don't know. It was a while ago. Definitely check it out if you want to learn more about the science behind your brain and how it works. But if you constantly are telling yourself everything is working out in my favor, then your brain is going to find proof of that to show it back to you. So why not believe it and see what happens? This one was really, it just hit home. It is, you are getting distracted again. You got dreams to chase, not people to impress. Wake up. So I can get very caught up in things that aren't my quote unquote dream. Like, I can get caught up in my full-time job and being with people I shouldn't be hanging around, and like getting so caught up in the little day-to-day that I completely get sidetracked, and before I know it, I'm going down a path that is not the path I want for myself. So this one really just snapped in my face. It was like someone was snapping in my face and saying, hey, you are getting distracted. Knock that shit off. We have work to do. Get focused and get going. So this one is, it was the wake-up call I needed, so hopefully it resonates with you as well, but it helped. This one says, current vibe, working for the lifestyle I promised myself. self-explanatory, definitely along the lines of everything we've already talked about, so I'm not gonna continue to just explain the same thing over and over again, but it is the vibe. Like, work towards the lifestyle you want. This one is big. It says it's okay to outgrow people who don't grow. You can't force someone to grow if they don't want to. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So you can say, hey, maybe how you reacted to this may not have been the best way, or hey, I love you, so I'm bringing this to your attention. Maybe we should do this differently. There are so many ways to address situations, but if someone doesn't choose to change or choose to grow, it is not your responsibility to let them use you as a punching bag or stick around them if they're not choosing to grow as a person. So it's okay to outgrow people who are choosing not to grow. That is totally valid. That is just a part of life, and you're okay. It sucks, it hurts, and there may be times when you're like, man, I really miss this person, but know that you're making the right decision by understanding that you are outgrowing that person who is making a conscious decision not to grow, and it is okay to no longer be an active part in their life or vice versa. As someone with anxiety and just puts things off, huge procrastinator, this one says there's really not a difficult thing unless you decide it's a difficult thing. Otherwise, it's just the next thing you're figuring out. So this really put things into perspective for me. That is fact. There are so many things in this world that I have put off, or I haven't done for a really long time, or I just like didn't want to do and got so much anxiety over it simply because society deemed it as difficult. Who's to say it's difficult? Like, a lot of times it really wasn't. Or I just got in my head and I myself was like, this seems difficult, so I'm going to assume it is. Nothing is difficult unless you say it is. You're the one who decides if something is easy or difficult. So stop telling yourself things are hard. Stop telling yourself things are difficult. They're just the next thing you're figuring out. It's just another step down your life path. Like, it doesn't have to be this hard, dramatic, difficult thing. So definitely remember that when you are going through things. This next one is a little long, but it really resonated with me, so it may resonate with you as well. And that is, if you spend your time chasing butterflies, they'll fly away. But if you spend your time making a beautiful garden, the butterflies will come to you. When you focus on improving yourself, everything you want will come to you. We attract based on who we are, not what we want. Don't chase, attract. So this is very, very self-concept, self-love heavy. Basically, if you are expecting the world around you to change, but you're not doing any work within yourself, then your world's not going to change. Like, you're just delaying the inevitable. So start by creating a beautiful garden, a beautiful environment within yourself, and then the things that you want are going to come to you because they have an environment to flourish and to do well. It's one of those things that I personally believe are just like one of the rules of the universe, where like attracts like, and if you have this beautiful, kind, positive space, then you're going to attract beautiful, kind, positive things. So stop chasing butterflies when you could just make a beautiful garden, and then all of the butterflies will come to you. Discovering what you don't want is just as important as finding out what you do. This is a hard lesson to learn because it's not finding out that you don't want to do, like you don't want something. That's easy. It's very easy for me to be like, okay, this is not what I want. The hard part is letting go of that thing when you don't want it. You learn a lot of lessons learning how to let go of something that is not meant for you because it's hard. Like, the easiest thing you could do is stay in a situation you're not meant to be in, because that is the easy road. Like, literally the easiest thing you could do is just stay where you are. It's the change that's hard. And as someone who personally like hates change, I don't like that. But there's a lot of lessons to be learned when you accept that change and go through with it. And I do believe that like you learn a lot of lessons when you find out that something isn't meant for you and you have to pivot to find that thing that is meant for you. So this one was a really important quote that came to me at the right time, I would say. This is the very last quote that I have. Stop letting your potential go to waste because you don't feel ready enough. This is another one along the lines of, stop waiting for the perfect time to do something, because you have so much potential, and if you're not nurturing it and you're not using it in the correct ways just because you don't feel ready enough, then you are doing a disservice not only to yourself but to everyone who is going to benefit from that potential and that amazing thing, the positive impact you're going to have on the world. Just jump in head first, and you'll probably come across some obstacles. You definitely will, but you're going to learn the lessons, so it's not going to be for nothing, and you're going to get to where you want to go. But you can't do that until you make that initial change. Like I said, the easiest thing you could ever do is stay in the situation you're in, but you have to be courageous enough to make that change in order to reach all of those beautiful things in life that you are looking for and yearning for. So those are all the quotes that I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this. They were definitely things that I needed to hear, so hopefully you needed to hear them as well and they resonate with you and you took something from this episode. I upload every single Sunday and Wednesday on all podcasting platforms as well as on YouTube. If you guys are looking for a community of women that are working towards our goals, hi, how are ya? That is my podcast, so we would love for you to join us and follow on whatever platform you're listening on. Like I said, leave a like, a follow, a comment, leave a rating and review. All of that means the absolute world to me. Seeing that you guys enjoy the podcast or that you have critiques on how to improve, I love to hear it, love to see it, and it really does mean a lot to me. So I would really appreciate it if you took a second to do that. Other than that, if you are watching this on the Sunday it comes out, I hope you have a great night. If you're watching this on any other day, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next podcast episode. Bye, guys.
You was the first